Okay.
And the minor leagues.
It is April 19th. We are just cruising along here. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. We'll get into it in our first segment, which is...
Wait a minute. That's it? That's our intro? That fast we're into it? I don't get to explain why I got white walls and nothing behind me?
Yeah, why don't you give us a little insight on why you got white walls and nothing behind you?
Okay, thank you. I'm recently moved. Okay?
Explain to us why your shot has no depth.
I got no depth, right? Because I recently moved, right? And so I'm still getting situated, which is obviously a process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. Everything has a place that has to be put perfectly in its correct place. Now, that being said, I did put one thing up. This bad boy, this bad boy right here, right there. You know what that is? Right? This is to remind me of what I'm capable of when I put my mind to something, right? Champions are made, forged in fire, right? Through hard times.
What is it?
Is the championship trophy for the member guest champion for the member guest tournament in Hunt Valley Golf Course, Hunt Valley Country Club, 2019. Okay, and that just shows, right, what we can do when we put our mind to something. Okay,
it's pre-pandemic.
So nothing else is up yet. No motivational things, nothing, because it's all in here. I know it. I don't need to look at anything else somebody else said. I just need to look at that. This is what I can do. Right?
That's pre-pandemic, and the pandemic changed everything. So
maybe
just toss that thing out.
Yeah, change everything for the worse. It's easier now, they say. So neither here nor there. So that's why I got no depth in my shot. We're calling it the clean slate. Al's reinventing himself.
All right. Is that satisfactory? Can we get into the show now?
Yeah, now we can get into the show. Let's do it.
All right, so it's April 19th. We're going to get right into the show. Al's had his explanation, and I guess he's comfortable with us starting now. So we're going to get into our first segment, which, as always, is...
What's your rate?
What's your rate? So what's your rate? Hey.
What's your rate?
Hey, I'm shopping. What's your rate? Hey, you're more in the mortgage in the mortgage world. What's the rate? What's your rate? Rate. Oh, it's all anybody cares about.
Well, let me just ask you about your. No. This is what you guys do. You're just gonna give me some runaround. You're not gonna tell me what the rate is, right?
Right.
The rate's got to be the same regardless of what the situation is.
I'm getting blah 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 percent. What's your rate?
You don't get to know anything else about me or my situation. You just have to tell me what's your rate. Hurry up, what's your rate?
So, the dust has settled from the last 2 weeks of just kind of poor inflation data. This week, we also had jobless claims, which came in lower than expected, which means less people claiming they're jobless, which kind of backs up the high employment and jobs data from last week. So anyway, a lot of information came out, not good signs for inflation. So like where are we now?
Right, where are we now, and what does it mean for the Fed's plan to ease their restrictive policies and slash the rates? Right?
So, yeah, that's what we're gonna get into, and we've got it straight from the horse's mouth. Jerome Powell. He spoke this week. He took to the mic, and he said, quote, "We'll need greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2% before it be appropriate to ease policy." He also added, "Most recent data has clearly not given them that confidence needed, and it's going to take longer than expected to get that confidence." Lastly, he said, if inflation does persist, they will maintain the current level of restriction as long as needed. So the optimist in me is going to look at that and say, all right, well, he said they're going to maintain the current level. So that doesn't, so it's maybe that's, I'm taking away from that they're not going to get more aggressive or raise rates. They're going to maintain the current level. So perhaps the takeaway is that this is as bad as it's going to get. And you know, we can just continue to hope for the best in the future with that kind of knowing we're at the ceiling.
Yeah. Well, as far as interest rates go, mortgage interest rates go, right? I should say. Today or this week, we're a little bit better than last week. For a conventional purchase, $500,000 conventional purchase, 20% down. So you're looking at about a $400,000 loan. 800 credit score. You're looking at a rate probably in about the mid sevens. For VA and FHA, you're probably looking at something in the mid to high sixes. Obviously, you can buy that rate down if you wanted to pay points too. So not great, not where we hoped we would be, but
yeah. I would say it's not terrible. I think that people can wrap their head around these rates, and we're certainly seeing some more action. Even with this bad news, mortgage applications were up over the last week. So I think, the rates aren't terrible, but yeah, I'm with you. I was hoping we'd be out of the woods by now.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're seeing people kind of callous a little bit. They're getting used to it to a degree, right? We're not where we were. We're not where we're going to be once they get down into the sixes and the fives. But hopefully, we just trend in the right direction. But we just don't know. We have no idea. It's inflation's out of control, and I feel like if somebody was like, "Hey, what do you think about this inflation stuff? What do you think we should do?" I would say, and this is me just spitballing, I have no degree in this. I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's just like, ooh, what can we do for this? I would probably sit back and say, let's just stop printing so much money, right? And that's, I'm not a specialist. I'm not an economist, as hard as that might be to believe. That's just spitball on top of my head stuff, right? I feel like maybe we should start thinking outside the box instead of like, we're going to wait around and see if this policy works a little bit longer and get some confidence.
Yeah, so I'm with you. Like, printing money probably devalues money, but, they don't even bring it up. They ignore it. They don't act. It's clear that they actively don't think about that or talk. They act like, spending and jobs are the boogeyman, and they very well may be. But how about let's assess the whole situation and bring it up. But you know what? I digress.
Yeah, I digress.
I digress first. So
real quick before you digress, Gab, hold up. Before you digress, I'm gonna go ahead and digress. What were you gonna say?
When you were in the middle of your whole thing, I was gonna tell you, hey, you should digress. So I'll digress.
You know what I was thinking? I was just thinking I was going to digress. Go ahead.
I'm going to be the bigger man here. I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm going to digress.
All right. Well, why don't we both just digress? Everybody just digress. We're digressed.
I think we can agree to digress.
We can, yeah. I think we'll fall on that. We'll settle on that. Let's sleep on that. Transition next segment.
Whoa! Why don't we put a bow on this segment, Al?
Okay. All right, let's put a bow on it. So we'll put a bow on it, right? Here's my bow. It's not great. It sucks. It's better than it was last week. It's not as good as it was. I mean, earlier this year, they get us all excited, right? They get us all excited. Last year, it's like, hey, tell you what we're gonna do for you guys. We're gonna cut the rates next year up to 4 times, and we're like, what? Get out of town. Are you really? Yeah, for you guys. We think you deserve it. It's like, okay, let's do it. And then when the rubber meets the road, it's like, all right, well, hey, they come and it's got to be high time to cut some rates, right? Well, hold up now. We just got to see what the data said. We're not confident. And we never really said we were going to cut rates, right? We said, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, no,
we always said it was a fluid situation. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, we're still the cat hanging from the tree, right? You hang in there, and you hang in there as long as you possibly can. Eventually, it's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen. Tough to say with an election year, but we're going to hope for the best. And it'll be we'll be firing 6 shooters, eating cheese, having a grand old time. At some point, we just Romy Powell just won't tell us when it's going to be, unfortunately. That's where we are. Buckle up. Yeah, you really put a bow on that whole thing. I have more questions than before the bow. Maybe we should have put a pin in it instead of putting a bow on it. Let's move on to
Blame you for that one.
FAQs. FAQs,
Yeah.
Alvin.
Fantasies and quests, or frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions. That's it. So, I guess let's dig into the bowl, shall we? I got a bowl
Yeah.
with a bunch of things in it. Let's just dig in here. Got one. Here we go. This question, and again, these are sent in by our viewers. Okay. This one from Aaron in Port St. Lucie. Let's see what Aaron has to say. Adam is so handsome. I love his slick back hair. He looks like one of those guys on The Sopranos. Oh, look at that! A little fan love for you. You deserve it.
Oh,
don't you?
Thanks, Al. Yeah. It's great. But what
Aaron from Port St. Lucie? I didn't write this.
What Aaron from Port St. Lucie actually said most recently is, "You killed your son's fish again."
And I was, I got to be party of that phone call. I'm telling you what, I really wanted to introduce you as the fish killer, but I didn't know if it was Al the fish killer, but I didn't know if it was too soon. So good to know it's not. Anyway, so Aaron, let's get to the question. With rates being all over the place, would you recommend locking or floating and playing the market? Aaron wrote that all on this. Obviously cannot show you, security purposes, very important. Take that very seriously, but it's all there. I can promise.
So that's a really good question. And I think there's a pretty simple answer. And you can look back at our "What's your rate" for the answer. Look, it's not I don't think it's the time or place to be playing the market, because the market doesn't even know, and the Federal Reserve doesn't even know what the future holds. It's just way too volatile to be playing the market. So what I would recommend is, if the rate works, if the payment associated with the rate works, and you can afford it, lock it, because I have no idea what nobody does. I mean, the Federal Reserve came out and said they don't have any idea. They need more information. They need more confidence.
Yeah.
The thought before the last 2 weeks was like June is the time when they're going to do their first rate cut. And now here we are, mid-late April, and they're saying they need consistent confidence that inflation is going in a certain direction. So I don't think that they're going to have that consistent confidence by June. I don't believe they're cutting rates in June. I would lock early and often. What do you think, Al?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And in a previous episode, we talked about, you are more likely, I mean, in less stormy seas, I guess, you're more likely to float and play the market. Obviously, it depends on what's going on in the market, and what kind of factors, what kind of information is coming out. It's going to kind of factor into your decision. Whereas if the buyer likes the payment and the rate, I lock it right then and there, just because I don't want to stress and worry about it, right? But we have no idea. We have no idea where things are going to go. So it doesn't change my outlook. I'm locking anyway. And I love what you said. It's a great point about, about if the payment works, do it. What are you waiting for? A couple dollars, $50 is $50. If you wait around for your payment to go down by $50, is it worth it? If it goes up $100, right? You gotta kind of weigh that out. I have no idea. I'd love to give you that answer, but I can't. Even though I am a champion, right? I'm a champion. I can't make those decisions for you. Right.
Well, there's one thing we can do, though, Al, and what we can do is, when people are in process, we can be transparent, communicative, and that's what we're going to do. That's what you get when you work with somebody like us, a professional in the industry, is people that are going to be watching the rates, aware of your situation, aware of your wants and needs, and communicate, hey, here it might be a good time to lock. Here's what the rate is. We can lock you in today, and here's what the payment would be. If rates go up by 0.5 point, here's what your payment would be. If rates go down by 0.5 point, here's what your payment would be. What do you think? Do you want to? We can at least give you the most information necessary so that you can make the best decision for you. And if you want our advice, we'll give it to you.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. You know, give you all the information you need to make an educated decision for yourself and your family, and you know, and give our opinion and kind of help you along the way. But you know, we'll be candid and straightforward, and everybody knows, right? Rates aren't great right now. But again, once they come down, everybody that's waiting on the sidelines is going to jump into the pool. So it's if you can afford it, do it. If you can afford it, do it and lock it in. So great question. Yeah, great question, Aaron in Port St. Lucie. And I agree with you about Adam's slick back Sopranos hair. Handsome fellow.
Handsome how? What am I, some kind of model to you? What am I, eye candy?
Uh-huh.
What do you think this is?
Yeah, it's Adam, the handsome mortgage guy, and pal, and the other guy. So,
all right, the other guy.
That's
FAQs. Sorry, Al, take it away.
Yeah, no. So that's FAQs. Let me do my thing. Get your God blessed hand off the wheel. So next, we're going to step into our next segment, which is going to be opinionated. Okay. Where we will take an article, we will chit chat about it, discuss, give our opinion about it. Ab, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you got for us today?
Sure, I will. And I'm going to do a little bit of this.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So here is our headline, and it's a good one. All right, GSEs will not count buyer agent commissions in cap on seller concessions. So this is via Housing Wire. We'll put the link in the description of the video. But let's see here. Here's the thing. It pertains to the recent settlement, NAR settlement, where it looks like there's going to be no more commingling of commissions. The seller isn't going to be able to pay both commissions. So the question was on our side was, what's that going to mean for our buyers? How are they going to pay that? They already have trouble paying their down payment, blah, blah, blah. 3%, 2.5% to the buyer's agent. How is the buyer going to come up with that? And the governing bodies, so GSEs are basically the governing bodies of and insurers of mortgages, the rule makers of mortgages, and they came out and said, if a seller wants to give a credit to the buyer for the buyer's commissions, it won't count toward their maximum allowable seller concession. So that 2.5-3% won't eat into any other seller-paid closing costs, like title work, prepaids, stuff like that. So that was a big worry on our end, and in my mind, it's good to see quick action and a decisiveness from these big behemoths, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA. They're all aligned, and they're all going to follow suit. If a seller pays the buyer's agent commissions via seller concession, the buyer is still able to go get their minimum 3%, 4%, whatever from the seller. What do you think, Al?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. The biggest thing as far as the buyer goes is affordability, right? It hits affordability hard, and this was something that like you said that we worried about, and it's just another thing that we have to worry about is how the buyer's agent's going to get paid. It's not it's not like it was previously where it's just assumed that the seller's going to pay for it, right? So now it kind of opens the door on things, and the fact that you can still get seller concessions and the seller can pay for it if they're willing to. Now on the flip side of that, if the seller's like, beat it, buddy, you're on your own, you know what I mean? You pay your own realtor, then again, affordability comes into play, and that makes things really, really tough, especially for the first-time home buyer, or just the middle class person that's trying to that outgrew their home, having growing their family and trying to move up to a little bit bigger home or a little bit better neighborhood. That sucks. That really significantly impacts them, and it doesn't feel like those things are taken into consideration when decisions are made. I love what you said, that they were decisive in making this decision, at least that it's not going to come out of it's not, sellers' concessions won't be impacted by that. But as far as the overall, this new overall guideline, it's really unfortunate. And it's going to make things really difficult, I think, for those people, for the people that are towing that line of being able to buy a house or not buy a house. So.
Yeah, and we could get into like class action lawsuits and stuff, but it's like seems like it was a small group of people that had an issue with something, and it's changed. Broad stroke, change the whole way the industry is going to operate. It's just it's unfortunate. People are trying to figure it out. Try to continue to figure it out. And this decision on the mortgage side of things, seller concessions, I don't know if it's going to solve the problem. I think it's helpful, but who knows? It might convolute things even more. So we'll have to see. Right. But it's news. It's newsworthy. It's something, and we'll keep you updated here best as we can on how that works.
Yeah, or just give our 2 cents about it.
People deserve to get paid for their services.
Absolutely.
And the market will determine, how the market will shake it out. I do believe that the market, if given its freedom to operate a free market, things will organize themselves, supply and demand, and just like people will be paying top dollar. Like it'll figure itself out. I wish there wasn't so much oversight and rules. That's the world we live in.
I mean, and the other thing too is, this kind of it kind of put in people's heads like, oh well, I have to pay the buyer. A lot of buyers are like, well, I have to pay my agent now. I'm not going to do that. I just won't use an agent. Right. And people don't understand how difficult that process is, right? And how nuanced that process is, and the things that are in the contract that you don't have to worry about that they worry about for you, right? Not only negotiating.
What's that? I was just gonna say, and the agent takes on a level of fiduciary responsibility. They take on a level of legal responsibility, and you're protected against some things when you have representation.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they shield you from a lot of things, and again, just take care of a lot of things and kind of ease the concerns on the buyer's end to make the process as easy as possible, right? But so I think you're going to see a lot of people try to go that route, right? Try to go without using an agent, and they're going to get taken. They're going to, it's not going to go well for them. They're going to end up in a very bad situation, or they're going to be out a couple $1,000s. So we'll see how it shakes out. Again, it's one of those things where you don't really know until you're in it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they used to say, tide's low, stumps will show, right? We've all heard that one before. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens when the tide is low.
Tide is low. When the tide is low, it's time to go. I think that wraps up our show.
Stumps will show. Whoa, look at this guy. That was good. We should just fucking end on that. Drop an F-bomb mid-show.
Drop an F-bomb. It's a family-friendly show. Now I got to tell YouTube it's not okay for kids to watch. All right, Alvin.
Don't have me around.
That's 25. That's 25 minutes. That's a good show. It's a solid show. Let's cut it off there, and I'll see you on the other side. You happy with that?
Looking forward to it, amigo. Yeah, very happy with that. Champion member guest 2019. Out.
Don't forget. All right, Alvin. Congratulations on your 2019 member guest championship.
Thanks, Al. Make sure to congratulate me next time, too. Appreciate that.